So have you ever been in a conflict with a narcissist and have wondered, how am I going to resolve this without completely conceding or digging in myself? Well, if you've been there, then mediation might be for you. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 reasons why mediation might be the best way to resolve a conflict with a narcissist. But before I get started, let me be clear about what I mean by a narcissist, because I am not a licensed therapist. And so when I'm referring to narcissists here, I am not referring to a clinical definition. Instead, I'm really using this as a layman's term. I'm using this to refer to someone who is self-absorbed, egotistical, and really unable to perspective take beyond their own needs and their own interests. And sorry to say, most of us have relationships with people who meet this definition, people who are narcissists. So, how can mediation help? First, mediation can allow a narcissist to say yes without feeling like they made a concession to you. Truth of the matter is that part of being a narcissist, part of being self-absorbed, is this resistance to feel like you are making a concession or looking weak to someone, especially to someone who's on the other side of a conflict. And so here's where a mediator can be helpful, because a mediator can create a situation where the narcissist doesn't feel trapped, where they don't have to feel like making a concession is giving a win to their nemesis, the person with whom they're in a conflict. What's really important to most people who are narcissists is that they feel like they can save face, that they're not caving in to you, but they're caving into the mediator. And that allows their self-concept to remain intact, right? They have this story that they can tell to their friends or their family or everyone else in their life, like, I didn't give in to him, but to make peace, the mediator told me I should do this. And so it's really this kind of face-saving third-party buffer. Okay, number 2, a mediator can often validate the narcissist without putting you in that awkward situation where you have to feel icky or you have to feel like you're playing into their brown-nosing game. In other words, what a mediator can do is help that narcissist write their own victory speech. Let me give you an example of a time when I was called in as a mediator to play just this role. So this was a nonprofit organization that had really been struggling for some time. And part of the challenge was that the board, which was responsible both for key decision-making, but also for key fundraising, had become stagnant. And part of what made it stagnant was that the chair of the board was a self-absorbed person, I would say a narcissist, with whom it was really hard to work. And the challenge here was that other members of the board wanted the chair to step aside, but the chair had really dug in. And so the question was how to get this person out of this role. And they were extremely resistant. But my role as the mediator was really to do a lot of important active listening, to really make the chair of the board feel like only in their hands could they save the organization. And the best way to save the organization was to make space for a new generation of leadership. And so in a magnanimous move, this chair of the board could step aside for the purpose of ensuring the legacy of the organization. But we also wanted to make sure that the chair of the board had a legacy himself. And so we created this role called Chair Emeritus. This may sound so simple, but actually it was extremely valuable because it appealed to the self-concept of the chair and was really the golden bridge, the thing that allowed them to say yes. And so what a mediator can often do is tell a narrative in a way that allows the narcissist to be the hero of their own story. And one of the great ways to resolve a conflict with someone who's self-absorbed is to make them the hero of the story. Third, sometimes a mediator can be used in a different way. The mediator's job here is to really be a reality check with the narcissist to show them why going their way might be inconsistent with the law, inconsistent with best practice, or inconsistent with what a reasonable person might think. So in a situation like this, the mediator is doing less in terms of moving from positions to interests and less in terms of getting parties to brainstorm, and more in showing the self-absorbed person what might happen if there's not an agreement. So this works particularly where the narcissist's position is one that is likely to lose in a court. And it may be very hard for someone on the opposite side of a conflict to say, this is a loser for you. But an evaluative mediator can often demonstrate to that self-absorbed person why their argument will be a loser in court. So when it comes to resolving conflicts, the use of mediation can be incredibly powerful for at least 3 reasons. First, a mediator can create the space to allow that self-absorbed person to say yes to something without them feeling like they made a concession to their nemesis, adversary, or enemy. Secondly, the mediator can validate the narcissist without making you feel like you're icky or you're playing their game. In other words, they help the narcissist build their own victory speech. Thirdly, an evaluative mediator in particular can actually reality check the viewpoint of that self-absorbed person, showing them how their argument would be a loser in court or not something that a reasonable person might think. Yeah, so stick around and check out this next video, what happens if you don't agree in a mediation. And I'd be incredibly grateful if before you leave, you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and ring the bell so you never miss new content. Okay, keep on watching. Click, click, click.